Work. WHOW, the Big 1520, signed on August 2nd, 1947. WHOW has provided 75 years of service to Clinton, DeWitt County, and Central Illinois ever since. And since it's the station's 75th anniversary, it wants to celebrate. We're inviting you to our WHOW 75th anniversary banquet taking place Saturday, November 12th at the Clinton Country Club. We're footing the bill for everything: the venue, entertainment, food, everything. And we'll debut the showing of the WHOW 75th anniversary video. Social hour starts at 5:30, dinners at 6:30, and the debut of our WHOW 75th anniversary video at 7:30 that night. The evening includes entertainment by country singer Gracia Harrison and a delicious plated pork chop meal with all the trimmings. There'll even be a special WHOW 75th anniversary cake to enjoy. This special night will be a fundraiser, with all proceeds going to the Neighborhood Care Center No Fee Grocery and the Clinton High School Student Activity Fund. Tickets are $50 each, or buy a table of 8 for $360. Tickets can be purchased at the Clinton High School office during school day business hours. Help WHOW raise money for these two special causes and watch the debut of the WHOW 75th anniversary video Saturday, November 12th at the Clinton Country Club. Get your tickets now.
Today's highlight is Team Pancho Votivo Seed Treatment from BASF, the official corn seed treatment of the Field of Dreams movie site. And boy, have they racked up the wins this season. From the very beginning, that defense was locked in. Strike three, you're out. Corn rootworm, nematodes, aphids, they all brought their A game to the world's most famous cornfield, but Team Pancho Votivo still pulled out a win. No doubt about it, this team will finish the season on top. Always read and follow label directions.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show is streaming to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guests in studio this morning are with Macon County CASA. Julia LIvingston is the executive director. Good morning, Julia.
Hi, Seth. How are you?
I am great. It's good to have you back in. Thanks for making time for us.
Of course.
Introduce us to Morgan Blassi. Tell us about Morgan.
Yeah, so today I have with us Morgan. She is our advocate supervisor here in DeWitt County with all of our cases here. Mm-hmm. So she works a couple of days a week out of our DeWitt office, and she works very closely with all of our volunteers from Clinton and DeWitt County.
Sure. So Morgan, welcome. Thanks for making time for us. Tell us a little bit about how you came to be with CASA. What's your background? What's your journey to CASA like?
So I really wanted to get into working with kids. So I do have my psychology degree. And I was just scrolling through jobs, and, I looked up what CASA was, and I realized that this is something that I really want to do and work with kids in the foster care system. I applied, and I had really great interviews with Julia. I really loved the impact CASA makes on kids in the foster care system, and thought it was a great opportunity.
Sure. So what does advocate supervisor look like? What does that role mean, and what types of things are you doing?
So as an advocate supervisor, we have our cases of kids with volunteers on them. So I supervise the volunteers and just help them with whatever they need regarding their cases, whether that's, reaching out to caseworkers for them, going to visit the kids with them, or if, they're out of town, I will go see them myself.
When it comes to that communication piece, is there kind of for yourself or the organization like a standard, we like to touch base maybe once a month or, every 6 weeks? Like, what is that? How often does that communication occur?
We ask our volunteers to see their kids once a month. And regarding my communication with the volunteers, we keep constant communication. I have a few volunteers I talk to daily. And weekly, they make their notes. I approve their notes. I'll message them or call them if I have questions about what's going on in their case. But I do like to see my volunteers at least once a month to go over each case and how things are going in their case.
Sure. So what kinds of supports can you provide them? What does that look like from your perspective?
I can do just really any type of support. I reach out to the caseworkers because some may not feel comfortable reaching out to caseworkers. So I will do that for them. I try and support them any way I can, giving them resources that kiddos in the foster care system or even the foster parents may need, even biological parents may need, because we do still stay in contact with bio families, reach out and find services for all of them.
Julia, anything I'm missing in this conversation you want to have Morgan talk about?
Yeah, Morgan is also a great support when it comes to attending court. So, court is during the day. So, a lot of our volunteers are working, working individuals, and we welcome them too. This is a job that you can do as a full-time employee somewhere else.
Right, sure.
Because you have Morgan right here. You write your court report in advance. That stands for what your thoughts are on the case at that time, and she helps you with that. And then she can attend court and kind of update you on what happened in court.
I see.
So she's a great resource for that as well.
Sure. Talk about that experience, Morgan, and what that's been like for you.
So coming to court, it's really actually eye-opening, especially with being in the JA cases.
JA is
juvenile advocacy.
Sure.
So it's really eye-opening seeing, some of the things that happen. So we have helped them write their court reports on what they see. They're the eyes and ears for the judge, the GAL, even for us too. Because they're helping us out by seeing these kids.
Right.
So they'll usually come in office or whatever. We can write our court report together. Basically, we'll explain how the kids are doing, how the parents are doing, how they're doing in their services, how the kids are doing in their foster care placement as well. And then we will go into court, and the judge, GAL, state's attorney, all of them will read our reports as well.
I venture a guess, if you're appearing in court for one of your advocates, you've really got to be on the same page with that person and, really know the details of the case and the child and the progress and all those things. Like, I venture a guess, you've really got to be on the ball with those things.
Yes. You have to know your cases. By heart, by mind, because you never know if the judge will ask you a question during the court itself.
Sure.
And you have to speak up on what you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I will speak on Morgan's behalf. She and the other advocate supervisors, what she just said, you don't know it by head, by memory. They're knowing it by heart. Honestly, the key piece to CASA is the relationships that are built. And so those relationships that Morgan has with her volunteers, they're texting her because they have a connection with her. They're emailing and calling her because they genuinely know that she's an expert in this field. And at the same time, she and the volunteers have wonderful relationships with the kiddos. So really looking out for their best interest is a part of their heart. So she's able to go in and speak to that in court.
Sure. Again, our guest in studio this morning, Julia LIvingston, is the executive director of CASA of DeWitt, of Macon County. Morgan Blassi is a advocate supervisor for Macon County CASA as well. Now, do you share CASA advocates in DeWitt and Macon County? Is that how things are working out for you right now, Morgan?
I try to keep my advocates that are in DeWitt with my DeWitt kids and my Macon County's volunteers with my Macon County kids.
Sorry, I meant, are you overseeing advocates in both counties?
Yes, I am. Sorry.
Gotcha. No, that's okay.
She's our only supervisor that does that. So we have 5 total currently. She's the only supervisor with cases in both because, again, she is the primary advocate supervisor for here in DeWitt County.
I see. I see. So when it comes to maybe portions of the job, Morgan, that maybe we don't think about, does anything come to mind there for you? It's all right. That's one of those things where, like, I just think of being an advocate supervisor. You're talking with these advocates a lot. I just didn't know if there was a perspective on the job where it's like, you're talking with people every day. People understand that. You're going to court. People probably understand that as well. But you're also very close to the situation, which was kind of where I was kind of hoping to go with that, is just that closeness factor. And we talked about that before, just in terms of the being there, having to know the ins and outs of the cases. I venture a guess you see a lot of things and know a lot of things just in terms of, what kids are facing and how they handle these things. Can you speak to that at all? Just how the kids and the advocates handle those situations, I guess.
Well, you definitely see some kids with some really scary situations that they've been put into, and situations you wouldn't want for anyone, any kid. So, we have to be that strong, hold a strong mind of, we can't let this bother us, because
Have to
we
be
are
the steady presence.
Yeah, because
yeah.
we still are looking out for the best interest of the kids,
Mhm.
and our overall goal is always to return home to parents.
Mhm.
So we have to kind of keep those thoughts away, because parents are willing to change,
Mhm.
and correct those mistakes that they have made in the past.
Right.
So I think that can be difficult for some advocates, is to kind of push back about what those things may have been.
Those
and just-
personal feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
And even though they get training, very thorough training,
Mhm.
30 hours before they become a volunteer,
Mhm.
I think part of Morgan's job too as a supervisor is to really continue to help the volunteers through that struggle,
Mhm.
of for instance, supporting the return home to parents.
Right.
We understand that is a very difficult thing for many people to gather the concept of.
Yeah,
But
right.
we were just talking out there about a couple of cases, and the return home is very real, and it's going to be a great thing, and the
Mhm.
parents are really rectifying the reasons.
Yeah.
A lot of these parents have barriers, and
Mhm.
honestly, the time in foster care allows them to overcome those barriers.
That's great. That's a great point. Well, ladies, I'll tell you what, let's take a time out here. Morgan, anything I missed from your perspective you want to mention? Anything we didn't put out there today? Anything like that?
No, I think you hit out everything.
Awesome. Julia, how do folks learn more about Macon County CASA?
Yeah, so go to www.maconcountycasa.org, or you
Mhm.
can follow our Facebook page which is Macon County CASA, serving Macon and DeWitt counties.
That is Julia LIvingston. She is the executive director of Macon County CASA. Today, she's brought Morgan Blassi, who is an advocate supervisor for Macon County CASA, in studio with us. More to come on the morning show.
WHOW.
Are you a friend of agriculture? This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton. We're giving a $500 Friends of Ag discount to anyone that orders a new Chevrolet or Buick to be built just for you this month. Are you a friend of ag? You are if you're a member of any ag organization, employed by any ag-related business, including research, inputs, manufacturing, sales, and marketing, and of course, ag education. Come in, order yours today. BaumChevyBuick.com. Right from the start.
MR Systems Wireless is your local internet provider for Clinton and surrounding area. They have the products you want and the local service you deserve. MR Systems Wireless Internet service for home or business includes unlimited data, unlimited streaming, and unlimited calling. Plans start at just $48 a month and get a free Roku 4 lease with our media packages. Get the speed you need with MR Systems Wireless. Call them at 935-2100. That's 935-2100 for MR Systems Wireless.
DeWittDailyNews.com is the area's leading local news source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police blotter, weather forecast, and more with no paywall. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
For the latest in Central Illinois agricultural news, visit IllinoisFarmRadio.com. Get updated information on markets, weather, ag news, local interviews with NAFB farm broadcaster Jared White, and much, much more. All at IllinoisFarmRadio.com.
Hear Clinton Maroon live play-by-play this season on WHOW, the big 1520 daytime, 92.3 FM in DeWitt County, and 106.5 in Bloomington Normal all the time. Plus, streamed at DeWittDailyNews.com on the WHOW mobile app. Plus, hear a best of Clinton sports broadcast Saturday mornings at 10. All brought to you by Baum Chevy Buick, Clinton Community YMCA, Covenant Animal Clinic, and Jason France, your State Farm insurance agent in Clinton.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show is streaming to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin insurance agent in Clinton. Again, my guests in studio today, Julia LIvingston and Morgan Blassi with Macon County CASA. Julia, talk to me a little bit about a training opportunity, again, coming up, if I'm not mistaken, last one of the year, correct?
Correct. So this is our 7th one of 2022 and our very last one, and it's actually an accelerated session.
Okay.
Which means means it's only 3.5 weeks. You can actually get all the training done before the holidays, which is
Wow.
great timing.
Mhm.
It starts on November 8th. And of course, you need to go to our website, which is maconcountycasa.org. And you begin that process by just a 5-minute application online.
Okay.
You will have to give us 3 non-family references. And once you complete that, we'll get in contact with you to talk about next steps.
Sure. So talk to me about what it means that this is an accelerated course, and you get it done in 3.5 weeks. You said
You do.
Yeah. Talk about that.
It is intense. You're still getting all the same information you would get in 6 weeks, but it's just crammed into 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks. So rather than 1 time a week, you meet twice a week in person. And the classes are 3 hours per class. And in those classes, you really get to know the child welfare system. You learn about abuse and neglect. You learn about the process, the court process. You learn how to write a court report, which we talked about earlier.
Right.
And you really just learn the role of a CASA advocate. You get to meet court participants. So you get to meet the judge and the GAL.
Yeah.
And you get to meet our CASA staff who will be supporting you as a volunteer.
I bet getting in front of those people and just getting to know them before you have to meet them for the first time, like in a court setting or something like that, that probably breaks the ice a little easier.
It does. It's a lower impact. I mean, let's be real. All of our volunteers who come to us have had little to no interaction in the courts, professionally or otherwise.
Right.
And so court is a very intimidating thing. When I often say, oh, I have court today, people are like, oh gosh, are you okay? I say, oh yeah, it's for work. It's okay. But we're comfortable in that space. We understand the process, and our volunteers get comfortable too with being in there a couple of times.
Sure. Now you mentioned that there, Julia, where it's like, most volunteers come to you with little to no experience in going to court, even advocating for someone in court. So talk a little bit about, how comfortable they are maybe that first time, like how much this prepares them. And then obviously the more you do something, the more comfortable you get at it. So how about that?
Yeah. The beauty of the volunteer job is that you don't have to have any qualifications to be our volunteer. We literally say you have to have the heart to help a child. That's literally it. And 10 hours a month. Up to 10 hours a month. That small detail.
Yeah, that small detail.
But even that time detail, what do you do with 10 hours a month? I mean, I know plenty of us waste away 10 hours across a month's time.
Right.
And so you really could put it into the welfare of a local child. And so, we have retired pharmacists, we have business owners, insurance agents. These are all our volunteers, teachers. And when they come into that training, we do our very best to give them all of the information that they're going to need to begin executing that job. But there certainly is an on-the-job learning curve that happens too. They get to go to court every 6 months. So they're writing those court reports. And after a couple of those, they do sort of get the hang of it with the help of their supervisor that they're assigned to.
Every 6 months is not bad.
It's really not.
You
really
said that,
not.
and I was like, oh, wow, that's it, huh? So,
and the court reports then are that much more important, you got to remember, because it encompasses 6 months of a child's life.
Right. Well, but you're writing those. You're not, presenting those every month or something like that.
Nope.
So.
And we give you a template. It literally is easy peasy. We give you a template. This is what you put into here. And you can go back to those notes from your visits and your interactions, and you basically have the court report written.
Sure. So when it comes to just volunteering, Julie, I feel like this is a good opportunity to talk about, why CASAs are so important and the impact they can have on a child. How about that?
Yeah. So, we were just also gaining perspective of this outside, but if a CASA is not assigned to the case, it's really the responsibility of the GAL, who is the lawyer for all of the county's children. And so that puts a high pressure on that lawyer to see all of those children, to know what's going on in all of their lives, to know about any crises that are going on. And let's be realistic, that's just a very difficult task. So what we know that we offer, and we hope we can continue to show the DeWitt County courts is that we offer, is that additional set of eyes and ears, those relationships that are allowing kids to tell what's going on in their lives, and for us to know what trauma they're still going through so we can get them the help that they need.
You brought up such a great point that I really wish I would have thought of much sooner than this, but if a child doesn't have that advocate in their life, and I think the biggest thing is, well, you made an excellent point. It puts a lot of pressure on that lawyer that's assigned to the case and that sort of thing. But that child doesn't have that up close and personal relationship with someone who cares about them. They're going through this with nobody in some cases.
Yes. And, from a practical matter, when a CASA is not assigned, that kid lives in foster care at least 6 months longer. I mean, and I would say that is a very low ball, the 6 months longer. And for a kid, you've got kids, 6 months is a long time. My kids are like flipping out over 1 hour. I ask them to wait on something. 6 months is a really long time in a kid's life. And so that's just the perspective that we have to have, like, for our value.
And then you just blew my mind with they're in the system 6 months longer if they don't have an advocate. I mean, my goodness.
Yeah, these relationships are just the most important thing. These kids are moving from home to home. They depend, Morgan also works some cases in Macon County on her caseload. I know that she's been an amazing blessing to so many of these kids and families. And in the same token, I don't want to speak to her for her, but I've heard her say they've touched a place in her heart too. Those kids have a really special place in her heart.
So talk to me a little bit about, do you do exit interviews with kids, like when they're maybe they return home, the case concludes, whatever that looks like, and what do those kids say in those circumstances?
We don't do exit interviews, but we do encourage that relationship to continue. So even after a kid's case is closed, after they're adopted or they're reunified with their parents, most of our volunteers do stay in contact with those families because they have been such an integral part of their life during the most difficult part of their life. And so they become a support system, like a surrogate aunt, a surrogate grandmother, a trusted friend, and so we get to hear stories back from our volunteers about, oh, Tommy, I want to update you. I went to Tommy's 8th birthday party and he is doing so good. Mom has a new job. They've got a new apartment. He is getting straight A's in school. We get to hear those updates and it's really heartwarming.
Oh man, that makes it worth it.
I know, because you're like, man, that was the right thing. Getting that family back together, man, that was the right thing. And we do hear that a lot.
I'll bet you do. For sure. Julia, I've got about 2 minutes. I don't want to miss anything else on the training. So to go back to that, did I miss anything in the training conversation?
No, we're going to be announcing soon our 2023 trainings. So likely we will have 7 that we're offering again. So, if you can't get in November 8th, you didn't miss your chance, but I think the January class would be a great place for people to start. Begin your new year with a new year resolution to help your community's foster children even more with us.
Again, how do folks get the ball rolling on that training?
Go to maconcountycasa.org and there's all the information there. You can also email us at program@maconcountycasa.org and follow us for very current events on our Facebook page, which is Macon County CASA, serving Macon and DeWitt counties.
Easy enough. Julia, 1 minute. Anything I didn't get to today you want to make sure we know about?
We're continuing to gain relationships in DeWitt County. Morgan is available actually in our office in the Clinton Presbyterian Church on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
How do they get a hold of you, Morgan? What's the best way to do that?
The best way to contact me is through my phone number, which is 217-518-3831.
Okay.
Yep. And she's available to meet with anyone who might be interested, again, here in DeWitt County on Tuesdays and Thursdays, in our office in Clinton Presbyterian Church.
Very good. Very good. So, Julia, how do folks follow along with Macon County CASA online, social media, all the ways? How do they do that?
Yep. MaconCountyCASA.org, or you can follow us on Facebook at Macon County CASA, serving Macon and DeWitt counties.
Wonderful. Ladies, it was good to have you. Morgan, great job. Thank you for coming out this morning. Again, that is, Julia LIvingston. She is the executive director of Macon County CASA. Morgan Blassi is the advocate supervisor for Macon County CASA, our guests in studio. The morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin insurance agent in Clinton. We come up on the bottom of the hour, a look at network news, and local weather. All next, it is the WHOW morning show, and again, live online all the time at DeWittDailyNews.com. News weather next on WHOW.